Hi, my name is Chris. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm doing Leetcode problem 1413, minimum value to get a positive step-by-step sum. Alright, so it's given an integer, an array of integers nums. You start with an initial positive value, start value. In each iteration, you calculate the step-by-step sum of start value plus elements in nums from left to right. Return the minimum positive value of start value such that the step-by-step sum is never less than 1. Okay, that was all very confusing to me when I first read it. It took me a minute to figure out what they're trying to do here. But essentially, you're going to return whatever the start value is, okay? And we want the minimum start value. So what does that mean? Okay, so, and the start value has to be a positive number. So the minimum, we always got to start with 1, right? So if you look at this first example, if you have 1, and then we go through this array, and we're just going to add this to -3. Well, if we add that to -3, we're going to get -2. So that's less than 1, okay? So it's got to have a greater start value. So let's look at 2. So 2 plus -3 is going to be -1. That's less than 1. That's not going to work. So let's look at 3. 3 plus -3 is 0. So it's got to be greater than 3. Now we have 4. Okay, and this is where they start doing it here, right? So we can move over here. So if 4 is our start value, 4 plus -3 is 1. 1 plus 2 is 3. Then 3 plus -3 is 0. Okay, so it's got to be greater than 4 because this number has always got to be greater than 1, right? So let's move to 5. Start about 5. So 5 plus -3 is 2. Then 2 plus 2 is 4. 4 plus -3 is 1. Then 1 plus 4 is 5. 5 plus 2 is 7. We've made it through the array. So our minimum start value would be 5. That's what we're doing here. All right, so let's grab this variable, move on over to Leetcode pen. Oh, I forgot to delete this. Whatever. There's our nums. So here's our function. And we're always going to start with 1 for our start value. So now we can create a while loop. And I'm not going to give it an exit condition. I'm just going to say while true. And then inside this while loop, we are going to create a variable called sum. We're going to set that equal to start value. All right. Now we're going to do a for loop. We're going to set let I equal 0 if I is less than nums dot length I plus plus. So first thing we can do is so we have the start value of 1, right? So now we're looping through nums, and we're going to constantly update this sum, right? So we're going to say sum plus equals nums at I. Okay. Now if we get to the last number here, 2, right, which is going to be I plus 1, if I plus 1 equals nums dot length, and that'll be the last element in our array, right? So if that is true, and if sum greater than 0. Actually, before I do this, let's do this. So if sum is less than 1, we break out of this for loop and we increment our start value. Right? So, you know, once we get to the point, right? So like here, right? So this sum is going to be less than 1. So we're going to break out of the for loop, increment our start value to 5. Well, that's going to be 5 at that point. And then we go through the while loop again, right? So let's say our start value is 5, right? So we need a way to get out of this while loop, and that's because none of these, the sum is never going to be less than 1, so we're never going to have a reason to leave this while loop. But that's what we want our result to be. So that's what this is saying. If I plus 1 equals numbers not like, so for the last element, sum is greater than 0, we immediately turn start value. Right? And if we log this to console, we should see 5. Cool. All right, let's grab our code. Run our Leetcode. And let's submit it. Cool. That's nice and fast. Well, hopefully you learned something and enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a like. It helps my channel to grow. If you'd like to see more like these, please like and subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you again real soon.